Welcome to Short-Term Rental Riches, quick actionable ideas to help you along your real estate investment journey, but with a specific focus on short-term rentals. Welcome back to the Short-Term Rental Riches podcast, where we talk about real estate, but usually with a focus on short-term rentals. Today is more just about real estate in general and something that you are going to have to deal with one way or another at some point in your real estate career. Almost everyone will have to either improve their property or deal with maintenance. It's just part of the game. And along with that, we have to deal with contractors or the people doing the work. And I've dealt with a lot of contractors in my day. I mean, if I had to guess, like 100 or 150 or something, I don't even know. And in multiple cities across the U.S. and outside of the U.S., down in Colombia where I've been living. So I've learned a lot. And I want to give you guys just some tips today, some things to consider, and some things just to make the process easier and to know that you're not getting ripped off, which happens far too often, unfortunately. I was just talking with a buddy recently, and he was telling me about his grandmother getting a new HVAC system, new AC, and it was like $21,000 or something like that. This is for a residential home and not a mansion, anything like that, a pretty normal home. And he said, "You paid what, Grandma? $21,000? So they stopped that deal right there already. They ended up getting a different company to finish the job for like $7,800 or something like that, which is about the right price for that job. The old company was so embarrassed or worried for their reputation, which should be bad anyways, that they just left. They just left the equipment there. But this stuff happens all the time. And I'll give you an example of one that I just came across myself. But first, I just want to give you some tips for getting good estimates. The biggest thing in getting a good estimate with a contractor is that we just have to know what type of work they're doing. That's when most people get taken advantage of, when they have no clue what's entailed in the job. So the more you ask your contractors or your maintenance people or whoever's helping you, the more you're going to learn. And we have the benefit today we can figure out whatever we want to know in a pretty quick amount of time. It doesn't take a long time at all. We can jump on YouTube and what does it take to change a water heater, for example? You can watch a 5-minute video and you can get an idea that way. We can learn whatever we want. And the second piece to getting those good estimates is just getting multiple bids, multiple estimates. And in that process, you're going to learn more about the work that you're doing if you're not already familiar with it. So that's another way. It's just going to happen naturally. And I highly, highly recommend getting multiple bids, but also letting the people that are giving you the bids know that you are getting more than one. That way they know that you're savvy and you're comparing and you want to get the best deal, which doesn't always mean the least amount of money, by the way. The quality of the work and the price of the work is not directly related. A third thing that can help you is just to break out the labor and the materials on the bid. This is going to be different for different types of jobs. Some jobs are just labor-based, for example, like pressure washing a building or something like that. But if you're doing an addition or you're doing a big plumbing job or a bathroom remodel, those are going to have lots of materials. So if your contractor, whoever you're working with, can break those out for you, that'll give you a little better idea. So really, the goal behind getting a good estimate is just you got to know a little bit about the job you're doing and do a little bit of research. And that will help you get a good estimate. Now, once we have a good estimate and we decide who we want to work with, I've got some tips on working with the contractors too, because depending on how big the job is, especially if it's a big remodel or something, you're going to be talking to these people, this company often. You need a good relationship with them and you want to maintain a good one. So that's really, really important. But the first piece after you decide to go with someone is just get that job in writing. Even if it's a small job, just send them a text message that says, You're going to start at this time or on this date. This was the amount. These are the items we're covering. Ideally, you have, an invoice or something like that really has it spelled out. But if it's something small, at least get it in a text message. And that way, if the job takes longer than expected or it's a long job to begin with, you don't get to the end and you guys both forgot what you agreed on. So that's the easiest thing, and it makes it super clear for both sides so that there's no confusion going forward. Don't pay too much up front. So if the job costs $10,000 and your contractor's asking you for 75% up front, that's too much. That doesn't, now, of course, every job's different. Again, if this is like a labor-only type of job or primarily labor, then you don't need to give as much money up front. If it's a roof job, for example, which requires a lot of materials, then giving 50% up front or something like that, that's pretty standard. And you will learn this as you're talking with the different contractors too. It's one of the things you want to ask them. If it's a big job, how much do I need to pay up front, and so on and so on. So don't tell them, they always ask when you want to get the job done. And if you tell them you don't really have a deadline or, like you're not in a hurry, then it's probably never going to get done. A lot of contractors, they prioritize their work. And if you don't have a set deadline or anything like that, then they may leave your job and go work on someone else's job that's maybe paying them more or that's more in a hurry. And so you're going to get way behind. And that's just such a big thing about renovations and construction. They always take longer than we expect them to, unless you're, flipping 500 houses a year and you have an excellent team that you work with. You have a pretty darn good idea how long it's going to take. But if you're doing a few projects here and a few projects there, or the first time home development or something like that, this stuff always takes longer. There's always unknowns. So set a date, something that you're kind of firm on, and just make sure that that's something they would work with. So don't tell them you're not in a hurry or you don't have a deadline. And remember, this is a relationship. So if it's a bigger job, then treat each other fairly. You want to, if a big piece of the job changes, make sure you guys work something out reasonably. And especially if you're in this for the long run, like I am, and like I hope you are or will be if you're not invested in real estate already. You're in this for the long run, and you want to have a good relationship with good contractors that you trust so you can use them in the future. So just remember, it is a relationship. It doesn't just come down to the terms of the deal. There's another piece to it. So a recent example for me, I'm renovating a commercial property right now, which is new to me. You guys know short-term rentals is a big focus of mine because we can make crazy returns. But I've got long-term rentals and I've got a commercial property that I'm working on now. And I've never done a commercial property. It's a small retail strip center. Plan to put a laundromat in 2 of the units. And the other ones I don't know what I'm going to do with yet. But it's a different type of roof. I've never worked with these roofs before. And so I learned a ton and I got a lot of bids because it's a big job. I ultimately settled with someone. It's $31,000 to change this roof. Now, all these people were using the same materials, but I can tell you, I think I got 4 bids, maybe 5. This job fluctuated like tens of thousands of dollars for the same job, same materials that I have in writing. So make sure you get multiple bids. And I got this specific roofer from a referral who's done a lot of roofs with them. So that's a big key. Not just taking the lowest price, but going with someone that you trust, that you hopefully have references from, especially if it's a big job. In regards to finding these contractors, referrals. I think referrals is one of the best ways because you're hearing from someone that you trust and they had a good experience with them. You can also find contractors on like Home Advisor now, which will have reviews, which are essentially like a referral, That's a good thing that we have now. But if you're looking for someone just to help out with lots of things all the time, go to your Home Depot, go to your Lowe's, go like on a Friday evening or something, and if you can just wait there in the parking lot. That's where contractors are coming and wait in like the contracting pro area where people have their reserved parking spots and stuff like that, and just talk to some of the people going in. And most of the time, if they're professional, they're going to have advertisements on their truck or their van. So that's a good way to do it. So referrals, or just driving around the area where your property's at, that can be a good way to do it too. And then at least you know that they already work in the area. So those are just a few things, just make sure you know what your job is, especially if it's a big job. Get it in writing and get multiple bids because they range big time. And when you're working with your contractors, just remember you want to have a good relationship. Hopefully you're in this for the long run. You can use them going forward in the future. And if they are a good contractor, they can also refer you to friends of theirs that maybe specialize in another trade. So remember that. You work well with them, they give you referrals to people that they've worked with and trust as well. And that can be a great source too. So if you're doing a project, just remember these things. The cool thing about doing a lot of this construction is once we do it, it's done. It's done for a while. But if you don't do this right and you don't consider some of these things, this is the biggest stress point in real estate. It has been for me. It's where people go over budget. It takes way longer than expected. And it's just, oh man, it can be stressful if you're not working with the right people. So remember, price is not always correlated with quality. Sometimes people that charge good prices still do just as good quality as the other ones. Hopefully that helped you. Hopefully you're not getting stressed out with any contractors you're working with right now. Until next time, have a wonderful day. Want to get on the fast track to financial freedom through short-term rentals? Well, it all starts with the properties you acquire, but you want to make sure that you acquire the right properties. I want to give you my ebook that will show you how to do just that. There is no charge. It's my gift to you for being one of our subscribers. Just go to restmethods.com. That's REST methods.com.